Hello and welcome to Fat Chat. My name is Robyn Flynn. I just had a crazy experience and I was like, you know what? I need to sit down and, sort of record this and my initial thoughts because this would make a really good podcast episode. It's deeply personal. I might cry. So that's a warning for you off the top because this is something that literally just happened to me 5 minutes ago. An example of weight stigma, obesity, bias, fat shaming, fat phobia, everything all rolled up into one. So a few weeks ago, my daughter, who is 4, um, had a severe anaphylactic reaction to cashews. We didn't know she was allergic to cashews. She is allergic to eggs. And apparently, kids who are allergic to eggs are more likely to be allergic to cashews. We didn't know, though. She ate a cashew and went into anaphylaxis. It was super scary. I rushed her to the children's hospital. They gave her epinephrine. She now has an EpiPen. All good. But then I scheduled a follow-up appointment with her pediatrician afterwards because duh. So we went to see her pediatrician last week. Everything's great. She's following her curve perfectly for height, weight. She's growing well. She's meeting all her milestones. Like everything is totally fine. So great. And before we left, she said, oh, we have like a nutritionist in-house, especially with like everything with her allergies and stuff. Do you want to meet with them? And I was like, sure, it's included. It's free. It's covered. Why not? We can do it remotely. Excellent. So we scheduled that appointment with the nutritionist because, if she's allergic to cashews, she's probably going to be allergic to other tree nuts. She's already allergic to eggs. So for sure, I'd love some advice for her nutrition. And in general, she's a picky eater. She's 4, which is fairly normal for 4-year-olds. So I was like, whatever, I'll bounce some ideas off of a nutritionist. Fine. Her appointment was today. So it was virtual. I signed on to this Teams link to meet with this nutritionist. And she asked me, like, what are your expectations? I'm like, I don't really have any. The GP recommended we do this session. I was like, my kid's a bit of a picky eater, but I've kind of found ways around it. She's like, oh, what do you mean? I'm like, well, my kid doesn't really like meat. The only meat she likes are chicken nuggets. And obviously can't feed somebody chicken nuggets every day. But she loves pasta. So I buy like protein pasta and then I cook it in like beef broth or chicken broth instead of water, just to up the protein content. She likes cheese, she likes peanut butter, things that are not super high protein, but have protein in them. She was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, fortunately, my daughter loves fruits and vegetables, so that's not a struggle for us. She eats really well at daycare. She's not going to eat pork chops or mashed potatoes or steamed broccoli. Like, she doesn't like that stuff. And I just don't make her eat it. We don't fight about that. I care more about not ingraining disordered eating habits into her. The whole, like, you sit at the table and you eat what's on your plate and there's starving children in Africa and, junk food is bad for you and taboo. We don't do that in our house. And as a result, she's a pretty well-rounded eater. All good. And the nutritionist says, well, the GP referred you to me because there is a family history of obesity. So she wanted to make sure that you're introducing healthy habits to your child. Now, this was not how this appointment was framed to me at all by my daughter's name is Peyton. This is not how this was framed to me by her pediatrician. It was framed to me that this is because of her food allergies, and we're going to give you some tips and tricks to get things into her diet since she can't eat certain food items. It was not made clear to me that she wanted me to meet with a nutritionist because I'm fat and she thinks that I must be feeding my kid junk food all the time. At which point I said, thank you so much. This was actually not how it was framed. I'm all set. I find this actually tremendously offensive, and I think we're going to wrap up this call for today. She tried to keep talking. I said, thank you so much for your time. Have a nice day. And I just hung up. Maybe we could put this on Reddit as an am I the asshole? I thought I was pretty respectful, but I was just so fucking mad in that moment because people assume things about fat people, right? They look at a fat person, they assume lazy, poor eating habits, no willpower, lack of self-control. That is something that a skinny person who has never struggled with weight thinks when they see a fat person. And those are biases that you need to unlearn because there are so many more complex reasons why somebody is overweight. And the assumption that because I'm overweight, I must be eating like shit and therefore feeding my child shit is super offensive. And if you're going to make an appointment for me to see a nutritionist and not even tell me the reason because you're too chicken shit to be honest about why, say it to my face. I think you should meet with a nutritionist because you're fat and I'm scared your daughter might become fat like you too. Oh, you don't have the fucking balls to say that? Gee, I wonder why. Maybe because that is so fucked up. That is so tremendously fatphobic. You don't know anything about me or my medical history. You're my daughter's doctor. You don't know about my history of PCOS. You don't know about the weight I gained when I pumped myself full of hormones to do IVF to have my daughter. You don't know about the fact that I'm going through a divorce. I'm selling my house. I quit my job 4 years ago. You don't know anything about my genetics, my lifestyle, my eating habits. You looked at me and made assumptions, negative assumptions, that because I'm fat, I am automatically somebody who eats like shit, and I'm going to pass those habits on to my child. You know nothing about us. You didn't even take a fucking second to ask. Of course, I will do anything for my child. I care about the food that she eats. I make sure she has a well-rounded diet. I spend a ton of time thinking about it, actually. Ton of time researching it. How do I get more protein in my child? You didn't even bother to ask. You looked at me. You made an assumption. Like, why do people assume that fat people are stupid? Even if somebody is fat because they have poor eating habits and they don't eat well, they eat a lot of junk food, do you really think it's because they don't know any better? Do you think they're going to McDonald's and thinking, this is a healthy choice? Love this for myself. It's not because we're fucking stupid. It's more complex than that. And if you can't see that, maybe you shouldn't be practicing medicine. Guys, I'm so mad. Like, my blood is boiling right now. And, like, part of me also is experiencing, like, a lot of mom guilt in this moment for hanging up that call. Because it feels like I'm confirming their biases, that I don't care about my child's eating habits. The thing is, when you refer a fat person to a nutritionist and you're doing it because you assume it's because they eat like shit and they don't know any better, that's a fucked up way to even start the conversation. The issue and the reasons why I am fat are my business and between me and my doctor. But to just note it on my child's chart that her mother is fat and you're going to hold that against her. I can't even put into words how angry it makes me. Like, she isn't even fat. The doctor was like, she's following her curves perfectly. She's a totally normal, active, healthy child. She eats a well-rounded diet. She loves fruits and vegetables. She eats cheese and yogurt and chicken nuggets once in a while. Goldfish cracker. I don't know. She eats normal kid food. And it's the fact that you would note that and tell the nutritionist that the reason for the appointment is because the mother is fat. But you don't have the balls to say it to my face. We have to be so careful with the assumptions that we make about people. To look at somebody who's fat and assume stupid, doesn't know any better, lazy, can't be bothered to do what she needs to do, lack of willpower, she eats way more than she should because obviously she's fat, no self-control, she should go for a walk more often, but she just won't. You're making so many assumptions here that are so fucking offensive. And I've kind of alluded to this on the podcast, and I really need to get somebody on to talk about this, but a lot of the assumptions that we have about fat people are rooted in racism as well. I'm a white person, so I'm not in any way qualified to speak on this, and I will bring somebody on this podcast who is a little more pigmented than me, who can speak to this a little bit more eloquently than I can. But there's something so unbelievably gross about what just happened, so offensive, to not even take a moment to ask, what are her eating habits like? Just, you're fat, you should see a nutritionist. It's so highly insulting. You're insulting my intelligence. And you've kind of permanently irreparably destroyed our relationship. She's gonna have to see this pediatrician until she's 18. She's only 4. I'm gonna have to see this woman every year, knowing what she thinks about me. That she thinks I'm lazy, that she thinks I'm stupid, that she thinks I have no willpower. Can't wait. Gonna have to do it every year for the next 14 years. Was it worth it? Was it worth it? I'll wait. Do you feel like you got through? Do you feel better about yourself? You make such great habits, such great choices. You have such great habits, and that's why you're thin. Absolutely not genetic lottery being won. Not at all. If you've ever been through something similar, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. This kind of shit is so fucked up. And I think a lot of the time we sit through these appointments and we smile and nod and, oh, yeah, I didn't know that potato chips are bad for you. Thank you so much for telling me. Fuck you. I'm not going to sit through your condescending bullshit. Something needs to change in the medical system because the fat phobia is like overwhelmingly disgusting. And this is why fat people don't seek medical attention until it's too late, and why we so often have, worse medical outcomes because we wait so long to get medical help because you just assume that everything is a result of our weight, that we're too stupid to know any better, and that we need to meet with a nutritionist, and that's the only way we'll ever not be fat because the worst thing you can possibly be is fat. It is the most undesirable thing anyone can be, especially in an age of Ozempic, Mounjaro, GLP-1s. Being fat at this point feels like a choice, an act of protest. People look at you like, what's your excuse for being fat? Just go take the shot. Do you know how fucked up that is? No hate to GLP-1s. I know that lots of people have found them life-changing, and more power to you. First of all, they're not covered by insurance unless you are diabetic. So you're looking at about $400 or $500 a month Canadian, which not everybody can afford. Most of us can't afford, actually. Not to mention the really gross side effects. I know so many people who've been on GLP-1s and they cause constipation, nausea, heartburn. I mean, if somebody doesn't want to do that, that's fine. What business is it of yours? How does it impact you in any way if I am fat? Go live your life. You don't have to be friends with me. You don't have to listen to my podcast. You don't have to follow me on social media. You don't have to work with me. If me being fat bothers you so much, I suggest some therapy for you to figure out why that bothers you so much. But if you don't want to, cool. I don't want to hang out with you either because you're a fat phobic piece of shit. But I draw the line at medical care because as a doctor, you should know better. And if you do want to have that conversation, have that conversation. Don't note it in a chart because you're too fucking chicken shit to say it to my face. I think that's a great point for us to wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for listening to Fat Chat. If you want to follow me, I am on all social media at Robyn Lisa Flynn, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, wherever you want to find me. Let's keep the conversation going. If you've been through something similar, you've had a negative experience with a doctor, maybe that shaped your view on doctors in general, maybe you avoid healthcare altogether because of an experience that you had, let me know in the comments. I want to hear from you.